All right, Dalton, a guy who is rocketing up a lot of boards. He's a first-round talent on the PFF big board made by Trevor Sycamore right now. I'm a little bit lower on him. I still like him a lot, though. And you have him number 6 on your list is Darius Alexander from Toledo, who really broke out in big way at the Senior Bowl. What do you love about him?
I mean, he's talented. I won't get it wrong, Trevor. I mean, Trevor's going on a little bit of a limb there as a back-end first-round guy. I think he's going to go in the second round, especially what we've seen from him in the process, too. You think about since the bowl game and dominating Pitt, had a pick 6 in that game, too. He was excellent at the Senior Bowl. He was fantastic at the Senior Bowl. I think that's the big question is getting into that higher level of competition outside of the MAC, and we saw it against Pitt, which is still a solid ACC team. They won, They went 9-3 this year? I don't know if it was nice. Somewhere in that range.
Around there,
Pitt was one of the better teams in the ACC this year, and then to dominate the Senior Bowl the way he did, Alexander was really good down there. I think what you have an athletic player, loves the swim move, loves his speed to power, the hand usage, quick hands, right? There's a couple of guys who are going to get into this top category here talking about really good hand usage. I think that's what you look at, and I think a knowledgeable run defender as well. You talk about not just shedding blocks. It's one thing to shed blocks. It's another thing to get off blocks in the direction that you're supposed to, right? Like you see guys, let's say you're on the backside of a stretch of an outside zone play, and your job really is you need to be able to stay in front and cross this lineman's face. Well, it's great if you get off the block, but if you're getting off the block on the wrong side, it's not going to work. Alexander's a guy who works to get to the right side and get to where the football is going, right, as opposed to just beating his blocker and figuring it out from there. So I do think there are some flaws. I think his get-off is a little bit better laterally than it is up the field, right? I think there could be a little bit more of a deeper pass rush plan, and I think, we're going to say this with a handful of these guys, but holding up against double teams and things of that nature drops down to one knee too often. That's one thing I see. It's stay on your feet, hold your ground, stay in your lower body, keep that wide base, and just like I talked about, what Collins does so well, Alexander could stand to do a little bit more of that. Sometimes instead of penetrating and getting around people, it is about holding your gap. It is about two-gapping. It's about holding your blocker up, right, and just creating that space for your linebackers to work. If he can do that more often at the NFL level, he can be really good. But he is a good athlete, a very knowledgeable run defender, and we're still working on the pass rush plan.
Yeah, really good athlete, and he was, like I said, dominant at the Senior Bowl. And that was important for a guy like him and a guy like Mike Green as well, where two guys coming from the Sun Belt, and for Alexander the MAC, you think, okay, they dominated that competition level. What did they look like against collegiate all-stars, against Power 5 players? Well, they dominated it there too. So it was a very good Senior Bowl for Darius Alexander, a guy who rocketed up because of that Senior Bowl. Like I said, a really good combine for him as well. Pretty good first step, good build, 6'4", 305 pounds with 34-inch arms, and he was amazing as a run defender at Toledo with a 90.3 run defense grade this past year. He could forklift offensive linemen if he wants to. Now, some of the negatives, a little bit of a late bloomer. He's a sixth-year player who will be 25 years old as a rookie. Didn't really show the dominance as a pass rusher at Toledo like you saw at the Senior Bowl a little bit with a 77.5 pass rushing grade this past year in the MAC. Plays a little bit of high pad level sometimes, a little bit slow out of his stance sometimes as well. And then obviously easier competition level that we saw at the MAC, although those concerns were eased with a really good performance that he had at the Senior Bowl. But he's a really big riser in this draft class right now, a first-round prospect on Trevor's board, and obviously becoming looks like a consensus second-round pick for most people. I think he's a guy that really good Senior Bowl, really good combine. There are some questions, right? He's a little bit older. Didn't always dominate at Toledo like you would have liked to see for a guy who might be going, early second round. But I think he might just be starting to figure it out right now. So I think Darius Alexander, absolutely a riser in this class. But the fact he's a little bit older and the fact that he comes from Toledo and didn't really dominate it like some of the other guys that played at a higher competition level that I have on this list is why I had number 9 and not in the top 4 or 5 like some people.
If you were making the first round argument, it's someone I think about Kansas City at 31, where you've got athletic run defender, developing as a pass rusher, but can certainly play alongside Chris Jones on those early downs. I think that might be the ceiling for me of where I could get Alexander if you were mocking it. I think if you were going to mock him in the first round, 31 to Kansas City would make a lot of sense. But otherwise, again, athletic talents there, I think easily a second-round pick. You're going to see his name called pretty early.
So Toledo, if he does somehow sneak into the first round of the NFL draft, he would become I think the second or third Toledo Rocket ever to go in the first round. Quinyon Mitchell, he would be back-to-back for the Rockets.
Last year, yeah.
Last year. I believe they had one more other than that, too.
I think it was, if I remember right, when they were talking about it with Quinyon last year, it was a long time ago. I couldn't even remember the name, but I think it was I almost want to say the 60s or something.
Oh, 1993, Dan Williams went 11th overall to the Denver Broncos. That was it, though, and then Quinyon Mitchell. So they've had two ever, And if Darius Alexander goes first round this year, it would be back-to-back. So they'd have 3 all-time and 2 back-to-back. And Quinyon Mitchell and Darius
Jason
Alexander.
Candle's got it going on defense.
They do.
That's for sure. I'm sure there's more coming behind it because that's what you do. In the MAC, you play defense. It's hard-nosed Midwest football in the MAC, and Toledo certainly built it as well as any program in that conference.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it would be really, really cool if Toledo could have back-to-back defensive guys go in the first round of the NFL draft. If Darius Alexander is able to go in the first round, I think more, like I agree with you, probably more of a mid-second round pick right now. So number 46 on the consensus board right now. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.